What up, what up, what up? Y'all know what it is, y'all know who it is. If you were looking at this face and listening to this voice, you would tune into the best kept secret in sports talk. I'm your friendly neighborhood smoking. You are officially on the hot seat. My Florida State Seminoles are still undefeated. Woo, that feel good to say. Still undefeated, man. So that's what we're going to talk about this afternoon, man. Paying homage to the ghost over my left and my right. Let's dive into it, baby. You come for the gospel. God damn it, I'm going to give it to you. Ding, ding, classes in session. So, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Florida State dismantled the Boston, what is it, the Boston College Golden Eagles? Who gives a shit? They got their ass whooped Saturday night, man. Florida State went out there and took care of business, and it was, guys, that was fun to watch. From rooter to the tutor, from the start to the finish, that was fun to watch. It was fun to see Florida State go out there and take business and kick a team's ass that's from the ACC. And what didn't expect Travis to play, Travis played. Travis played well. We'll talk about him a bit later. Uh, they clicked. And, funny thing about this game, I'm watching it, and I see things here wrong, and I'm like, man, need to correct that. And I'm the show won't be long today because I didn't get a chance to do a rewatch, so I don't really have that much to say. But I'm just gonna fly off the top of my dome and give you guys my thoughts, as I always do. But I'm watching the game, and probably shouldn't have had this personnel package out there. I need to tighten up here. And as I'm watching the game, I noticed that my expectations had changed, and I had to pump my brakes. Like, hey, this is the same team you picked to go 6-6. But as I've told you all before on this channel, as the season goes along, expectations change. And right now, and it was fun in that moment, Florida State they're changing my expectations of this football team. Because even though I picked them to be 6-6, I said they were trending towards being an 8-win football team. Well, that's now the expectation. Not because they're halfway there. It's because they look like an 8-win, a 9-win, a 10-win. Pump the brakes on the 10-win. They look like an 8 or 9-win football team. That is fun to see the progression of this team. And this is what winning, I'm talking about it like it's just such a foreign concept for a Florida State fan to talk about winning and being happy as if we're decades removed from being a top tier program. Not saying that we are right now, of course, but real time, Florida State is winning, and the attitude is different. The attitude around the program is different, and you got to understand what winning, being undefeated gets you a sold out Doak Campbell Stadium against 1-2 Boston College. That's what winning gets you. Winning allows you to enjoy the fruits of your labor in recruiting, because being undefeated and winning would allow you to pull a highly touted, highly ranked blue chip linebacker from a clean across the goddamn country. It allows you be undefeated, you show proof of concept, you show wide receiver usage, you can pull a 5-star wide receiver. This is what winning does for you. Winning keeps all these players engaged. Winning, for the most part, keeps everybody happy. This is what winning does, and this is why Florida State has been clamoring for a winner for so very long. And Florida State is ranked. Florida State is finally ranked in the polls, and there are some people that's a big deal too. I'm not going to say it's a big deal to myself, but I think they're deserving of it. I don't too much care for rankings. I'll see the rankings preseason, right? And a poll will have a certain school or a certain number of schools ranked, and those are highly ranked. They could be the number 5th or 6th ranked team in the country, and that team, by the time their publication reports these rankings, or whether it be the AP or whomever, that school probably even know who the fuck their starting quarterback is going to be. How the hell are you going to tell me how good this team's going to be if they don't know who the quarterback is going to be, right? So I've never really been really big on rankings and things of that nature, but Florida State should have been ranked last, because one thing I have noticed about the rankings for the first 4 weeks, first month into the season, is there's been a lot of false advertising. People have been telling us certain teams were good, and some of these teams, I'm looking like, that team ain't gonna be that goddamn good. I don't know why they're ranked so highly. And then as the season progressed, it's still first quarter of the season, or at least at the very least still first third of the season, I'm thinking to myself, that team should even be ranked. And, it kind of lessens the importance of it, but you still want to be acknowledged. You still want to be recognized for what you've done. And Florida State be undefeated. They deserve to be ranked. And you can probably argue they probably should be ranked a tad bit higher, right? But I'm not going to be the dead horse there. Florida State is ranked, and I think that's what's important here. So, game's over Saturday and you've had a day or two to process what you saw, man. I got to asking myself, is it time? Is it time to start believing in Florida State? Is it time to start believing in this coaching staff and the players? And I'm like, this is exciting to even have this question asked this early in the season, right? I'm like, wow, that is a great question to ask. What's your answer, man? Nope. Show late time. It ain't time for me. I'm not that easily impressed, although I do think Florida State has looked decent. I think they have performed well so far this season. I don't think it's time. The reason why I don't is because they haven't faced a large amount of adversity. They've had a few injuries they have to deal with, but it's part of football. All teams have to deal with injuries. I think now that you get into the meat and the potatoes of the schedule, I think now you're going to find out, is it time to believe in Florida State? And not even just by, don't get me wrong, W's and L's do matter, but how they look in these W's and L's are going to tell you what you need to know about this football team. I told you all the last time, I've struggled the NC State game because NC State is a formidable foe based off the fact that they are very, very sound defensively and they don't beat themselves. Florida State is going to have to be on their A game to go in there and beat the Wolfpack. How they look as well as the outcome is going to tell me everything I need to know about this football team moving forward. I don't give a shit if they play this game against Wake Forest. I don't give three drops of monkey piss if that game is played. My preference is for it not to be played because the two more important games, to me, in my opinion, are Clemson and NC State. I need to make sure that the team is as healthy as they can be, and an added week of preparation would not hurt. So to see how they come out and look, and one of the things I was scratching my head about, and it is me being over analytical, I'll admit, is how much are we going to trust Adam Fuller to coordinate and call games against Clemson and against NC State. Well, really against Clemson and against Wake Forest. I don't really think NC State does a great job of producing points, so they don't really scare me offensively. But when you look at Hartman and you look at, I'm not even trying to pronounce that boy last name, DJ from Clemson, they can score with the back. If you saw the game, I watched the entire game and I was really impressed with what I saw. Clemson can manufacture points in a different variety of ways, and Wake Forest, a lot of what they do hinge on Hartman, but he's really good at he's been in college for 10 fucking years. He should be really good in that offense and that offensive scheme. So right now I'm going to find out a lot of what I did do about Adam Fuller, because if the game is played against Wake and then you got Clemson a week later or a week or two later, listen, man, how much are we trusting Adam Fuller? That's what it all boils down to. You've had a good dosage of running QBs. You've had a good dosage thus far, QBs who are mobile. Let's see what your game plan is. Let's see what you're going to do schematically to stop these guys, or at the very least contain them. I think these games are important outside of the obvious, but there's still some questions about this Florida State football team. This is where you find the answers, and you're going to be able to see what the coaching staff is made of, right? And I think right now we're all high on the coaching staff. Speaking of which, I've never been one of those people who jumped on the bandwagon of hating Ron Dugan. I want to point that out because I probably have made a critical statement here and there, but I've never been on the fire Ron Dugan's train because he hasn't had a lot to work with. And you would probably say, well, he recruits the guys who he has to work with, right? It's kind of hard to recruit players when you're not winning, and it's kind of hard to recruit wide receivers. It's kind of hard to recruit players at skilled positions when you're not winning, number one. And number two, you haven't shown why I should come to this school as it relates to what you produce on the football field at my position. So you got the Jordan Travises, you got the Tate Roddermakers, you got the Mackenzie Miltons, you got the James Blackman. These are all the guys who were throwing the wide receivers prior to this season. I can tell you for a fact that there were some recruits last season or this past cycle. Hell, even recruits, there were some wide receiver recruits that Florida State wanted not just recruits but transfers as well that wouldn't come based off what they saw on the football field from Jordan Travis and Mackenzie Milton. I kid you not. So knowing that he had that working against him, I know that the wide receiver group wasn't as bad as some people said it was. I know how to trust my eyes. I know what I'm looking at. So to see him right now in this moment, because let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, Florida State has some weapons. Because it's almost you don't know who they're going to go to. You don't know who's going to be the leading receiver for this week, right? You don't know who to key in on. You saw some of the I don't recall who was commentating this game Saturday, but you saw him outline. They were paying a lot of attention to Johnny Wilson. Other receivers ate. The ball was still able to be moved at a good rate, at a good pace. That's impressive. And you have to tip your hat to Ron Dukins, because he's taking a lot of heat from a lot of people. So if we're going to criticize him in public, we have to praise him in public. Not to mention, he just got one of the most highly touted wide receivers in the country. He's doing things right, and we need to address him when he is doing things right. But back to the coaching staff, man. I think we're going to find out a lot of what we want to know about this coaching staff in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And to me, that's vastly important, because we all want to know if we have the right guys in the right places, right? We want to know what Adam Fuller is really made of. We want to see if the offensive line is going to do it. Not to say we have any questions about Alex. I wish somebody would ask a single solitary question about Alex Atkins. I kick you in your fucking chest. We have no questions about Alex Atkins, but we still want to see, because again, this may be me being over analytical, but I think the offensive line could have played better against Boston College. They're going to need to play better going down the stretch against these next 2 to 3 teams. I think the secondary is going to be tested. I think they're going to be tested the next 2 weeks in particular. These next 3 games are uber important. And I don't want to sit here and act as if they aren't just because I'm circling NC State. The next 2 games prior to that, if the game against Wake Forest is played, are extremely important. And they're important for different reasons. But again, like I said, a lot of the questions we have about this football team, we're going to find out. And one of the biggest questions I have is Jordan Travis is playing out of his mind. He's playing the best football he's probably ever played. He's certainly playing the best football he's ever played in college football. What I want to know about Jordan Travis is, can he win a game for Florida State? This is what I mean. The defense is probably shaking and hasn't had their best showing. They've keyed in on the running game. You're not able to run the football like you'd like to. Can Jordan Travis put this team on his shoulders and carry them to a victory? That's what I want to see, because at some point during the season, he's going to have to do that. It's going to be a game in which the offense has the defense's number, meaning I mean, like, for example, Clemson just may have Adam Fuller's number. There may be a game in which NC State keys in and they're going to put 8 and 9 in the box and they're going to dare you to throw, right? There's going to be an opportunity for him to win a game. I don't mean just one drive. I mean consistently go down and put Florida State in scoring opportunities. I want to see, has he progressed into that quarterback? Because right now, given what he's had to work with, to me, he's been very impressive. I never predicted him playing this well. I've been a staunch non-supporter of Jordan Travis in the past, but right now he is making me eat every word I've ever said about him. Well, it doesn't stop here. The progress continues to go forward. You continue to grow as a quarterback, because he hasn't reached, I'm not going to say he's an upper echelon quarterback, but right now he's trending in that direction, right? I said last week he's probably one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the ACC. Now we're trying to see where you can be ranked in the country. This is the type of game that can put you in those conversations. This is the type of games where you either play for a school where the spotlight is already on you, or you play well enough to make the country put a spotlight on you. He's trending in that direction right now. I want to know, can Jordan Travis get out there and win a game for Florida State? Because you're seeing the progression, right? He's throwing with better anticipation. His ball placement is much better. He's not tucking and running as much as he normally would. He's one of the core reasons why you see Florida State finally scoring in the second half consistently. This is a guy who I believe has the tools to do it. We just need to get out there and see it for ourselves, or at least I need to see it for myself, because that is a big question I have for Jordan Travis. Can he win Florida State some football games on his own? So, like I said, the question of the day for me is, Is it time? Not quite. I think it's almost time. I think we're on the cusp. I think we're knocking on the door, being able to trust this football team every week to go out there and do what needs to be done. I think we're on the cusp of being able to believe in this team fully, knowing the product that we have is something solid and not anything. Not saying that anything about the season is fluky, but I think, especially with the people who I've talked to and things that I read and seen, some folks still have questions about it. Well, we're gonna find out all the goddamn. We're gonna get all the answers we need for all the questions that we have here in the next month. Well, it's all the time I'm giving you. It's all the time I got. Listen, man, please, please, please continue to hit those like buttons for me. It does a lot for the channel, man. Please, please, please continue to hit those subscribe buttons for me if you're checking this and you aren't subscribed. Um, Share this content with people who you think may enjoy it. My man Sean Scott told me he shared it on a 247 message board, and my views shot up. So, been getting a lot of positive feedback. It's good to be back to doing consistent content. It's good to be back to talk about positive Florida State football, more importantly. But yeah, man, like as always, y'all know how to get me, man. Y'all know how to reach me at the Hot Seat 19 on Twitter, at the Hot Seat 19 on Instagram. When you leave those comments under these videos, you know I get back with you. We have good dialogue. But y'all know how I feel about your time. You gave me your time. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it. But hopefully next week when we get back here, we'll be able to talk about us being 5-0. So without any further ado, y'all be good.